Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is me and my story. Hello, I'm so glad you could join me once again. My name is Ellie, I'm from Austria and I turned 25 this week. Now this is a quarter of a century that I turned in years, so I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself, have a really cozy knit and chat type of video where you get to know me a little bit better, who's behind the brand Ravelry, how I got into it, etc., and just have a really nice and chill time. I have a cup of tea behind me, so grab yourself a beverage, something hot, something cold, whatever you like. Grab your knitting and let's get started. I am working on a sock. I'm just doing the heel flap right now. I'm not really great with multitasking, so I don't know how much I will actually get done on this heel flap, but we will see. Alright, so my name is Elizabeth. I prefer the name Ellie. I like the nickname Ellie. My friends call me Ellie, my people at work call me Ellie, but my family calls me by my full name. I don't know why, it just has always been this way. I think when I was younger I didn't like when my family said Ellie to me, so I said please use my full name, and it has just always been this way, which I am quite happy about, because I think Elizabeth is just, I don't know, Ellie is just a more familiar, more friendly name to use instead of the full name when you're with friends and work colleagues, etc. So yeah, that is my full name. And I am from Graz, which is a city in Austria. It's at the very south of Austria. The border isn't too far, the Slovenian border, or Hungarian, depending on which way you want to go. But Graz is the second biggest city in Austria, and that is fairly small, so you can imagine how much small all of the other cities in Austria are. But I am not living in Graz. I am living in Vienna, which is the capital city, and it's about a 2-hour drive to get from Graz to Vienna, or the other way around. And I grew up with a brother. He is 1 year older than me. He's turning 27 this year. His birthday is in November, and we didn't really get along when we were younger, like most siblings, I would say. But with me moving away and everything, I think we grew a lot closer, and because we also grew up, it's just really nice to go back home, to see him, to see my mum, and be with my family. I love them dearly with all my heart, and my brother is just the best. I can have such a great laugh. I know whenever I'm going home I'm gonna have a great time there, so I really do miss him, but I am very grateful for phones and video calls, etc., so I can kind of bridge that time in between, because I'm not going home very often. I went home this week for my birthday, but the last time was in December for Christmas. So there are quite a few long weeks in between Christmas and the end of March. So that's how I grew up. My parents are divorced. My dad is not really in the picture. And I used to play on the streets. I had a best friend, she was also my neighbor, and we used to play on the streets outside just for hours and hours on end without any like parents watch, etc. Just like you were able to do back in the days. So those are really great and fond memories of mine. Just the way I grew up with no phones and very limited TV time, etc. So yeah, I moved away when I was 18. I moved to Vienna for my study, and I didn't complete that study. I studied international business and economics with the focus on marketing, specifically online marketing, and I made the decision about 1 year ago to not continue with my study. I am really close to finishing it. I would have had only 2 exams left and my bachelor thesis to have the bachelor's degree. But I really struggled the last years were just really tough on my mental health, and because I found a job that doesn't require a degree at all, I didn't really see the point in finishing something and putting time and energy into that study when I knew it wouldn't be my future. So I actually never finished it. If you've been around for a while, you will know a few of those things already, and the drama that happened about 2 years ago now, I think. But maybe I will go back eventually and finish it. I am now in a completely different study plan because it changed when I started, so I don't have 2 exams left. I would have to do 6 and the thesis, so it's a lot to think about, but I can't see myself going back to uni anytime soon, I have to say, and I'm just happy the way it is right now anyways. Oh yeah, because of my not finishing my study, I wanted to work. I started working. I work in finance, and I think the best way to describe what I do is being a financial advisor. I absolutely love the job. I haven't really thought of going into that niche before, or like not niche, but into that sector before, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I got, and yeah, just really enjoy the work. I can help a lot of people. I just like they helped me back then. I messed up on my sock. I don't know how that has happened. I'll have to go back and see where I went wrong, but I must have, I don't know, either dropped the stitch or it's just not lining up anymore. Yeah, now it works. Hallelujah. Right, so that was a baseline history of where I'm from and what I do, etc. I would say we'll go about hobbies and how I got into the hobby knitting and how I started my channel, etc. I think I talked about this once before, but I know a lot of people are new, so I will go over the history once again. I started out crocheting my very first patchwork jumper. I don't know, just one day I woke up and I was on YouTube and I saw this video of someone crocheting this patchwork jumper, and it just looked really cool. I really enjoyed the design, but I couldn't find a tutorial or a video where someone explained what they were doing, and because I was so new, I taught myself pretty much everything. And that's also how I started my channel, because I saw the missing part on YouTube, and I created a video which is still my most watched video on my channel of how I created my own patchwork jumper and how someone else can also do that. It is such a bad video. It's, like I said, my very first one. I had no idea what to do. The camera I was using was not good at all. It was more so a photography camera instead of a filming camera. I didn't really know how to document what I was doing in the best way, but still people enjoy. They still watch that video daily, and I'm just really happy about that. That was kind of how I found the joy of making and creating videos. And eventually I moved from crocheting to knitting. I wanted to make a sweater for my then boyfriend, and I found this free knitting pattern, and I thought I would just convert it into crochet, but then it didn't really work out. So I why do I keep dropping stitches? But then I found out that it wouldn't really work, so I thought, okay, I will just buy myself some really cheap knitting needles and make the sweater as it's intended. I still have the needles. They are from Prim. They are a great needle set. They also back then were interchangeable ones. I love interchangeable needle sets. They're really versatile, and they also weren't expensive, exactly what I needed. And I had no idea about anything because I was crocheting also for only a few months. I didn't know what gauge was. I knew that there was a concept of gauge, but I didn't really understand what it actually meant. So you can imagine that the sweater just turned out super big. And it is also not as if I started out with something really simple or like a small project. No, it was a full-on 3-colored colorwork sweater that was knitted up bottom up. Literally the worst things you could do when you start out knitting or start a new hobby is just use the most difficult things all at once. But it worked out, and I found my passion. The sweater turned out massive. My ex-boyfriend still has that sweater. He still loves it. Once I developed my skills and learned obviously more about knitting and gauge and how to make things fit properly, I suggested that I re-knit the sweater, but he refused. So he just has this gigantic sweater in his wardrobe floating around somewhere. But that's how I got into it. And then I started making knitting videos and completely left crochet out of the picture. I had a lot of troubles with crochet as well. My hands would constantly hurt due to the hook and the way I used the hook, and that has knitting has helped that as well. So it was kind of a natural progression for me. Obviously my yarn stash grew, my pattern stash grew a lot, and really fast in the first, I would say, 6 months. And I then also started my knitting podcast. I love that podcast. I really enjoy making those videos, and that is also the reason why I started the whole channel, is because I wanted to try something new, and I wanted to take someone along with me on that journey and help people also find joy in what I do. I didn't even know at the beginning if I would stick with the hobby or not, but obviously I did, and I still like it. I still enjoy working on things, maybe not as many as I used to at the time, also because I don't have as much time anymore, but it's definitely something that I have found as my craft and my niche. Right, I think I have to set this sock down because it does not line up once again. I don't understand why. So I'm just gonna rip back and see where I went wrong. And that's what I meant with I am not great with multitasking. Usually I'm really good at it, but not when I have to talk and knit at the same time. But speaking of hobbies, I obviously knitting is a very big part of my life. Creating videos and YouTube in general is a very big part of my life. I made some really great friendships through all of this, and so many new people. And apart from knitting, I also like to read. As you can tell by my bookshelf behind me, I am a very passionate reader. I have been from the age of 10, 11, something like that. I used to hate reading, but then I found the right books and then I fell in love with reading. It also made me very introverted, which again isn't a bad thing, but it's just something that, yeah, I just didn't need anyone else with me at all times to do something. I could just entertain myself in a sense. So I started out with reading a lot of fantasy, reading a lot on Wattpad, if anyone still remembers those 3 days of Wattpad browsing. And that's how I also learned English. Wattpad, for those of you who don't know, used to be a free platform, an app where you could upload stories and write your own book, and then people could comment on it, but it would all be free as far as I'm aware. You didn't have to pay anything to upload your stories, you didn't have to pay anything for a subscription. You could just upload something and then other people could read it, and I loved that concept. And I started out with short stories. I was really bad at I was really bad in English at school, and I wanted to improve. I wanted to better myself, and the teacher also wasn't the most supportive one, so I thought I would just teach myself. So I started out with short stories, and then I would read on my phone, and every time I wouldn't know a word I would go to Leo, which is a dictionary for translating different languages, and I would translate that English word into German so I would know what it meant. And that's how I learned English. That's how I became really good at vocabulary, grammar as well. Obviously those type of books, because everyone could upload everything, it wasn't the most accurate one in terms of grammar quite a lot of the times, but it was just a fun way to learn and to dive into the stories, and just combining two things that I liked into one. So I started out with a lot of fantasy, a lot of werewolf ones, a lot of never vampires or witches stories, mostly werewolf ones, or like where people had powers. I also really enjoyed those stories where you had humans but they had special powers. But as I got older, I moved away from that fantasy section more into the romance ones, the spicy romance books, and I just stuck there. I don't read any fantasy anymore really, only here and there if I find a book that kind of sparks my interest, but I much prefer a really funny, spicy romance book over anything really. I can't say I have a favourite book because there are so many good books that I've read, and I do read a lot, trust me, a lot more than the books that I have. I absolutely love my Kindle Unlimited. I don't currently have the subscription just because I want to go through my TBR list of the physical ones that I already own before I start reading other books. So yeah, big part of my life. And then also I started running last year. I fell in love with sport all over again. I love to move my body. I also liked to dance when I was younger. I was in various hip-hop groups and just like kids things, and yeah, I started running. I completed my first half marathon in October, and then soon after got really ill, and I just got cleared by my doctor to start just moving, exercising again, which is a great win for me because I have really missed it, and I didn't even realize how big of a part it became over the last year. And I can now start training again, I can now start doing exercise, and I'm really grateful to move my body. So that's also a big part, and all of those 3 hobbies combined doesn't leave a lot of room for anything else. I mostly struggle juggling those 3 beside work because I'm self-employed. I don't have fixed hours. I work here and there. I also work weekends, so there's never really a big break. It's just whenever I have the time to knit on something or to read a book or whatever, I do just that. But I also like to sew, more so in summer than in winter. I mostly sew dresses, just like this one. I know you can't see it right now, but it is a dress. I also sewed some trousers and some shorts and what else? A rucksack once. But I always keep coming back to the dresses because they're so simple, they're so fun to make. I do have a way too big of fabric stash as well, obviously not as big as my wool, but I have a lot of fabric. I have a lot of projects that I want to make, but I just don't find the time because sewing is such a big undertaking. It's not as if I could just come home and sit down and do something for 1 or 2 hours like you can do with knitting or reading. Sewing is like a week-long project of many hours put in. So it's not something I do regularly, but like I said, summer is coming again, so I want to make all of those gorgeous dresses and yeah, just be really crafty. I'm also a continental knitter, which means I have the yarn in my left hand and pick it with my right hand needle. And my favorite season is autumn. I really like the warmth autumn gives, the leaves, everything looking super cozy, and just the start of winter where you can throw on your woolly sweaters. It's just, every year I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else I can just think off the top of my head. If you want to know anything else, leave a comment down below, or you can send me an Instagram message, whatever you prefer. I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you guys have. I can also make another video as like a little Q&A chat if you would like. Just let me know. Like I said down below, I am so glad that we had this lovely time of you getting to know me a little bit better, but now I want to get to know you a little bit better. So if you feel like it, also leave a message of just a short message explaining and telling me who you are, where you live, what your hobbies are, what you enjoy, etc. Just so we can have a conversation going. That would be awesome. And yeah, I'm gonna see you next time with another video. Super excited about that. Hopefully by then I will have sorted out this heel flap of my sock. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe to my channel if you feel like sticking around, and happy knitting, and I'll see you later. Bye.